Hi guys, my name is Ishan Akhtar and I am a first year medical student. In today's video, I'm going to be a bit more open about something which was affecting sort of myself, as it was affecting probably a lot of you as well, is low productivity levels and a lot of procrastination. And this added up to equal 17 hours of screen time. Yeah, I'm not proud of that one. And it's something I think we can all learn from. And I think going forward, I think it's something which I've made a very conscious effort to avoid happening. And in this video, I'm going to be very fair and honest with you because I'm giving you 5 tips that will certainly help with halving your phone usage and certainly your screen time. Why? Because I've used and implemented these 5 tips in my day-to-day routine and I've seen the impacts. So without further ado, let's dive into today's video and start off with tip number 1. Tip number 1 is very simple and very effective, but it involves your phone. Wow. He's talking about cutting phone time, but instead he's discussing about using your phone again. I know. Well, hear me out. Essentially, this app is used to promote your productivity level. Why? Because it traps you into this guilt factor. That's the easiest and simplest way to describe it. Essentially, what this app does is it grows a tree and you set a timer. So if your task is taking you 30 minutes, you set a 30-minute timer. Now in that 30 minutes, you're going to have a fully grown tree by the end of it. But there's a catch, and here's the catch. If you go off the app, you will end up killing the tree. So effectively, this app is using a guilt trip factor method, whatever you like to call it, to avoid you walking into the world of social media and end up procrastinating even further. I think this is the best way we can utilize our mobile devices and put them to good use by using apps which sort of work towards helping us and improving us. I've been using it for a long time and I simply can't endorse it enough. I think this isn't a sponsored video, this isn't an affiliate video or anything with Forest. This is simply just talking about the benefits that I've sort of seen over the years. And I think it's, I think as a content creator, it's sort of my right to give you beneficial information. Digital detox apps are the number one tip for today's video. Get on it and let me know in the comment section if you know of any more apps which work similarly or which work differently but achieve the same mission, which is halving your screen time. So without further ado, let's move into lazy tip number 2. Lazy tip number 2 is phone free zones. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, every time I have gone on to do something which is revolving me sitting around and waiting for a while. Now, let's think of a good example for you, a dining table. The number one thing which I can think of is when you're sitting down to eat some food and you're not around anybody else on the table, you're on your own, and what's the best thing you do to cut the awkwardness? You pull out your phone and you start scrolling endlessly through social media, but to no avail. Why? Because you're not able to enjoy the moment that you're in. And I think having this sort of in your mind that this is what you class as a phone free zone where you're not able to use your phone in those situations. Not only will you boost your confidence, but you're ultimately achieving the goal of halving your screen usage. Now, this is a very big tip because a lot of people end up scrolling aimlessly just to avoid that awkwardness. I've got a challenge for you. I want you to identify one sort of specific time in your day which is allocated to a phone free zone. Whether that be sitting at a dining table, whether that be whilst you're out on a walk, just something where you say, when I'm doing this activity, my day to day routine, I'm not going to use my phone. And let's see if it makes a difference. If it does, let us know in the comment section. And by that way, we can work to half our phone screen usage. Now, I think for one of my favorite steps, we're going to move into tip number 3. Tip number 3 is the 20-20-20 rule. Now, what on earth is the 20-20-20 rule? Well, essentially, the 20-20-20 rule is, despite it being such a difficult thing to say over and over again, but it works to effectively reduce your screen time without affecting the work that you're currently doing, which is the purpose of this video. So, you're working and you suddenly realize that you've been on your phone for quite a long time. This is the time you implement this rule. For 20 minutes, you work on a specific task which involves your phone, your laptop, etc. Then, after that, you take a 20-second break where you're not looking at anything. Essentially, you close your eyes and just let your eyes rest for 20 seconds. Once you've done that, you find something which is 20 feet away and you look at that object or specific thing. This allows your sort of eyes to refocus, and not only that, but you're giving yourself a break just so you can sort of recoup and focus again. Number 4, this is implementing the notification detox. How many times have you been on your phone and you countlessly just get bombarded with pings after ping after ping, and all it is constant messages feeding through into your phone, whether it's from random apps which you've never used in years, or it's your friends popping up, just dropping a quick message to ask how you are. Now, we all experience this every day. I know I certainly just get random buzzes on my phone when I have no idea why, and sometimes it's just a notification from an app which is of not significant importance, but what it ends up doing is making me grab my phone, have a look at my notification that's buzzed in. But guess what? I end up picking up a social media app that I just want to aimlessly scroll through, and I find myself 3-4 hours later still being on an app that's of no use to me, and I have not completed the task that I was supposed to be doing, which has now been delayed by those 3 or 4 hours. So, the best thing I can recommend for this is the phones now have settings for apps which you can turn off the notifications for. This is the best method that you can possibly use in order to stop disturbing yourself when you're essentially at work. So I recommend that for all people watching this video, try out notifications detox, one of the best methods to simply avoid damaging your productivity levels. That was tip number 4. And to end off today's video, we're moving into the final tip, which we'll talk about in the next segment. So, guys, tip number 5, which is app cleansing. Now, what on earth is app cleansing? Well, let's walk you through this sort of in detail, because I think this is a number 1 underrated rule for halving your screen usage. Essentially, the amount of apps which we have on our phones which are totally unnecessary, and they just sit there idle, taking up our storage. How many times have you realized over the past couple of years that you're just aimlessly scrolling through certain apps, whilst other apps have ended up going into deep sleep on your phone? And this is what your phone does when you don't use an app for a long period of time. and that leads you to simply forgetting about it all around. Now, in order to avoid that happening, what I recommend is app detox. The best method to stop yourself from wasting storage, wasting time, and simply just having a cleaner mind and a cleaner phone. So, what you do is you scan through your apps on your phone and do a thorough assessment of the apps that you actually need. Now, if the app is in a doubt, as in you simply think that you need it, but then you're not sure, I would recommend to just let it go. Let the app go. Unless you've paid for the app, which I very rarely think people do, but unless you've done some form of investment towards the app and it's cost you some money, then don't delete it. But otherwise, let it go. There's no need to have apps in there which simply are of no use. This is the number one way of trying to improve your productivity. How many times have you just gone to download an app which is actually benefit to you, and then you get a notification or a pop-up to say this app can't be downloaded due to insufficient storage? Then you go through your phone and you find that you've got like 20, 30 different apps which have no use. So why are we wasting your time? Let's get you deleting some of these random apps. Hey, that's the number one way of making sure that you have your phone screen usage, because sometimes these apps are just sat there and simply just eating away at your storage, which is of no use. So, if you've learned anything from this video, I recommend that you let me know in the comment section, because it's the best way I can sort of communicate with you viewers and find out whether these videos are actually useful. So, with that being said, implement these strategies because they're going to be useful. I certainly have, and look at the results that I've found. Some crazy person that ended up with 17 hours of screen time in a single day unintentionally has now managed to significantly drop his screen time to 30 minutes. That's fantastic, I think. If you do, leave a like on this video, subscribe because it's free. I don't know how many times I've had to remind people that it's free to subscribe. You know, I ain't charging you anything for these lovely tips, just a free subscribe in return. And if you want to check out my other videos, they're all on my page. Turn on the notification icon, and yeah, let's be more effective, eh?